Hello, welcome back.
Greetings, Mr. Nic Davis.
How are you, John?
I'm at the top of my game, my fine brother. How are
Are
you?
you? That's a good place to be.
Yeah,
At
why
the
not?
near the end of the first month of the 2025 and feeling at the top of the game. I like that.
Yeah, well, we're getting a
Yeah.
little more sun,
Okay.
like an extra hour of sun in the
Oh,
evening, and that
yes,
means a lot to me.
it does. I was noticing that. Like for me, it means we are getting. I mean, I was noticing it was almost 5 o'clock, and the sun wasn't quite set yet. I mean, technically I think the sunset is around then, but to me it's dusk and the sun. There's still light out. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
um,
yeah. It was
yeah,
like yesterday. I was like, oh, it's 5:20, and there's still light. So it's like, hallelujah.
what was really exciting? I was planning something in March. I was looking at the calendar because my mom and her my stepfather, I should say, her husband, they have to move. Unfortunately, the property they rent from is selling, um,
Yeah.
and well, interesting story about that. I could tell you a little bit, but anyway, the owner is going to finally sell the property. He has two properties, and he's going to sell them, so they got to move. But anyway, I was looking at my March calendar to see when I can go help out with kind of getting my mom's stuff together and help alleviate some pressure on them. But what I was really exciting is daylight savings is the day before I'm going to plan to go over and help.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking about the daylight. I was like, oh, daylight savings. I can see it already on the calendar. I got plans for that week. It's in
Oh
my.
yeah. When is that
It's March 10th, I think. Does that sound right? March 10th,
coming up? I have no
March 9th.
idea.
Maybe it's March 9th. Whatever that Sunday is before that. So yeah,
Yeah.
March 9th. So yeah, but no, I was planning March 10th to go help them out. Anyway, let me tell you real quick because I know the socio-political climate is really hard to avoid these days. So their property owner, he's been out of the country. His partner is British, and so they live abroad quite a bit, and they have a home or properties in what we call Whatcom County here in Washington. Well, the state of our America's socio-political climate has finally, they've been talking about selling and just being done with these properties for a long time. And just some changes in our American culture here, even in the last week,
Okay.
really just sparked a lot. And he's like, you know what? Pardon my French. Fuck this shit. We're out. Yeah.
Really?
And
What country are
you
they
know,
from?
well, he one of the property owner. He's from the U.S. and he's from Washington State, but his partner, his life partner, he's from the UK. So
Yeah.
they've got options. They're very European in their sort of views and cultural ways and stuff. So, you know, uh, where America is right now, it's not really aligning with their own values, and they have options. So they're exercising those. So anyway, I know there's a lot we could flood this whole hour with in the last week of events, but I will say that much for now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's been a week of events.
yeah. So it's a hard one. It's hard. So
It is. It's hard.
I feel for a lot of people who feel immediately and abruptly alienated, and that really tugs on
And
my
threatened.
my psyche. Yeah, threatened in my psyche right now. It's not a good place to be. So
Right. We're all in it together.
that's right. We are. Speaking
Yeah.
of which, that is not to overshadow, a week ago was inauguration day, but more importantly was MLK, MLK Jr., Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Recognition. So I think that's probably the more important thing we highlight. Yeah.
Absolutely. And shall I use that as a segue
Yeah, let's
into
do that.
playing this song?
Uh huh. What do you got
So
teed up
for our,
there?
for our listeners, we have one right now. Hello, Mary. She's down the hall from us, but we'll have
Okay.
more than that as the progresses. So he had a favorite song. Martin Luther King Jr. had a favorite song, which he requested. And Mahalia Jackson, the singer of record,
Okay.
would come to his rallies and he'd say, "Please sing If I Can Help Somebody for Me." It was a song that he got a lot of comfort from, nourishment. It was a stressful life to be Martin Luther King Jr. on the cutting
Yeah,
edge and in the spotlight and feeling the threat to his mortality,
absolutely.
but he had the courage. But this song helped him.
Okay.
And it helped me too. I knew this fact about this song. My favorite rock band was called The Band.
Hmm.
Famous for the album Music from Big Pink and also The Last Waltz. And Robbie Robertson, the lead singer and not the lead singer, but the songwriter and guitarist, mentioned Mahalia as one of his all-time favorites.
Oh,
And
okay.
then Van Morrison did as well.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, I've got to listen to this then. MLK, Robbie Robertson, and Van Morrison are all saying Mahalia Jackson is their favorite.
Heck yeah, that's some.
Yeah, I went and after my wife passed away, I went and invested in a box set of Mahalia Jackson music
Okay.
and listened to it for like 6 months.
When you say box set, was that CD? Was it record? Was
Yes, it
it?
was CDs. I think it was 2, maybe 3
All right.
discs. Gospels, Spirituals, and Hymns, it was called.
Okay.
And this turned out to be MLK's favorite song, turned out to be my favorite.
Okay.
Not because
Very
he
cool.
had selected it, but that's because I was listening. I was like, well, that's the one.
Yeah.
There are other songs that didn't touch me at all.
Right.
But so I'll play this for you as a tribute to Martin Luther King Jr. On MLK Day 1 week later, but also as a beautiful resistance anthem,
Yeah.
which is, I think, where you and I both are these days, looking for songs that can help us.
Absolutely.
I'll read the words to you. I don't think I can get to them all here. I can't. But it says, if I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can help somebody with a word or a song, if I can help somebody from doing wrong, my living shall not be in vain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really beautifully done. My parents went to see her sing in Chicago in the 1950s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad was still talking about it
That's
throughout his
cool.
life. All right, without further ado. How's the volume?
It's good.
Okay.
As I travel alone, I cannot help somebody in a word or a soul. I cannot help somebody from do and wrong. Don't shall not be in vain. No, my living shall not be in vain. I can have somebody while I'm singing their song. You know my living shall not be in vain.
Beautiful. Woo.
Moved on to the next song.
That's really
Wasn't
beautiful.
that very nice?
That's very beautiful. Yeah. I haven't heard that. If I have, it wasn't called out, and it was, something in passing, but really beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's for all of our listeners who hear this during the week. It's just a good word to remember.
Absolutely. Yep. Help each other.
Yeah. As we're going through this dark time, I'm thinking that we're in for chaos and nightmarish stuff for at least 4 years. But
yeah.
To hang on together and to support one another.
Absolutely.
In small ways. It doesn't have to be that you overturn the presidential branch of the
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that we talked about waging nonviolence, for a while there, in November and December.
Yeah.
And just, it really just comes to mind, what it is that we can do. And as much as there's this outcrying of mistreatment and poor decisions, and it's important that people stay grounded in a state of peace. I just kind of think about bullies. If I were to talk to my kids about dealing with a bully, and I would be like, screw them. Don't listen to those words. Here's the words that matter. Here's the things you need to tell yourself. And I know that kind of makes it very small, but it's also, that's the micro level in our own little lives and worlds. But, as a country on the macro level, that's kind of what we're dealing with here. And, really working on building each other up to have that, confidence and, deal with struggle, to help each other and deal with that struggle. So, and unfortunately, I think that there's a lot of people dealing with a great deal of unnecessary struggle than there were a week ago.
Yeah. I thought of you when I heard about World Health Organization, because of you being a nurse.
Yeah.
And also National Institute of Health.
You think about these I wouldn't even say governing bodies. I would say these organizations which drive practice and public health and outcomes, and what we call evidence-based practice, science-driven, the best of everything that we're doing all over the nation, all over the world, in different forms of health and structure. And we need those things. Those things are important so that we can continue to advance, because whether you're in your small craft of an apprentice plumber, or you're a cardiac surgeon, we all need to refine and improve based on evidence and what the best practices are. And you take away, or you undercut those authorities on things, and what becomes the best standard. It's scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Dark times indeed.
Yeah. I actually without going too much, because I am a federal employee, I enjoy a life of a hybrid work schedule. Being that I work administratively supporting my clinical staff, I work 2 days in the office and 2 days from home. And that affords a really nice quality of life. Believe it or not, the government saves money because they have workers that are willing to utilize their own living space to work. So that's really hard. There's been just sweeping things that I've never seen so much affect quality of life for so many individuals in such a short amount of time.
Are you going to have to start working in the office all the time?
I don't know yet. It's to be determined. The government will have to sign a bunch of new leases for the number of employees that work for the VA, VHA, both locally in my catchment area, as well as, VHA centers all across, or veteran hospitals all across the nation. Yeah, it'd be a massive undertaking because of the amount of people who work hybrid or work telework remote. And a lot of it's due to, it didn't just evolve because of the pandemic. A lot of it's because of real estate and costs of office spaces is so much that it's just not feasible for my VA to say, hey, we're over budget. We can't cut budget because we're understaffed as well. And now you want us to go accrue lease agreements outside of us to house our hybrid workers or telework remote workers. Not feasible. It sounds like a really good presidential thing to say, I'm going to do this, and yet the numbers don't pencil out to actually saving American taxpayers money. So yeah,
it sounds very Trumpian.
Yeah, it's yeah.
The cruelty is the point.
Yeah, that's the exactly. For the better of people, questionable, but is there a sense of cruelty and autocratic mindset? Absolutely, 100%. So yeah.
All right. Well, I have 2 more little bits of I don't know if it's housekeeping, but updates or something.
Yeah.
One's an introduction and one's an update.
Okay.
I had said that I was going to speak at a church.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That was 8 days ago.
Okay.
So can't remember the name of the church. That's terrible. I don't think it ever really registered with me.
It was a town not far away, and it was a Catholic church.
Catholic church. I think it was called Good Shepherd.
Okay.
Catholic church in Menominee Falls, which is next door to Mequon here.
Okay.
And so I went to the service. It was very Catholic-y.
Oh, I bet. Did you wear knee pads?
What'd you say?
Did you wear your knee pads?
To be in confession and repentance?
To be on your knees. Yeah. For prayer. For prayer. Yeah. Let me clarify that in case anyone's got a dirty mind, but no. No.
So that went fine. I was kind of interested in the Catholic priest. He was really old. He walked around with a cane, and I kind of liked him.
Yeah.
Talking about how we need to think about the homeless on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So,
yeah,
it was kind of good. But then afterwards, I spoke to about 40 people.
Wow.
They were having their chili hour. They were eating chili. And I liked them. They were very attentive. They laughed at my jokes. and I presented the polycrisis. I've now pretty much switched over to calling it the polycrisis as opposed to the meta.
Okay.
Not that it matters too much.
Right.
And then I made the joke about being the mega pickle. And they were all listening intently. One woman raised her hand. She was seemed upset and raised her hand. I said, "Yes, ma'am. This is all very, very depressing. When are you going to get to the good stuff?" I said, "Soon." I said, "But it's really, really good for us to look squarely in the eye the challenges that the human race faces."
Yeah.
I said, it depresses me too. I mean, I'm just human as human as everybody. And,
Right.
looking straight into this stuff is not easy to digest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm even holding out on you. I'm not even talking about the melting of the Arctic and the methane that will be released.
Right.
She's like, "Eesh." I said, "Yeah, I'm doing ich too, believe me."
Yeah.
I said, "But there's ways to cope,
Right.
you know." Um, and I said, "Furthermore, the Packers have lost," and that got a big laugh out of everybody. Everybody laughed at that, but they listened very intently. I
Yeah.
talked about wake up,
Right.
clean up, and they were very interested in clean up and wanted to know the process.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about third person, second person, first person. Took them all through
Yeah.
that. They were taking down notes.
Very cool.
I talked about grow up, and then I talked about uh, show up. But then we went back through, and I did a meditation
Okay.
on show up. I mean, on wake up.
Okay.
And they were quiet. They were silently absorbing it all,
Very cool.
going along with everything that I taught them. I'm like, I'm in a Catholic church. We've gone into Jungian depth psychology,
Right.
and now we're doing Tibetan Buddhist meditation.
Meditation.
I haven't told them, well, this is Tibetan Buddhist meditation. I didn't want to throw anybody
Right.
off.
No one said, "Who let this hippie in here?"
Nobody said, "Who let this hippie in here?" I had a Led Zeppelin T-shirt on, but that didn't throw anybody. I'm kidding. I think I even wore a tie. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they were very quietly, and they all absorbed it, and it was really great. And then afterwards, they came up to me and had questions, and they said, "Thank you for this thought-provoking presentation."
Mm-hmm.
And nobody said that it sucked.
Yeah.
The person that invited me said this was perfect for what we need.
Yeah. That's cool. Very cool.
So it went okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really encouraging because, we talk about everyone wants to talk about differences right now. And you think that for all those reasons you just mentioned, going into, arguably a very conservative setting that is, they came at it with an open mind. And I think that's what we have to remember about America right now is that whether, whatever you identify with, people are generally open and able to have some pretty good civil discourse and conversations and how brave of you for doing that, for walking into there. I wouldn't say the lion's den, but definitely an environment where you don't know what amount of hostility you may see or feel on your own views and things you're passionate about. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it worked out good. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some amount of bravery involved and some amount of foolhardiness. But, hey, I like the people. Let's put it that way. They were 40 and up.
Yeah.
White, suburban. And I saw Trump bumper stickers in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But, lovely exchange. So I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start trying to get out and do this as a thing, not just a one-off, but I'd like to go around and talk.
Yeah. Do some public speaking events and
yeah.
kind of, yeah. I
So
like
that's
that. And it
one.
came as a result of our viewers and people who
Yes,
engaged and like what you had to
yes.
say here
Somebody
on our
watching
show.
this.
And yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So
Love
that's one. The song, the public speaking, and the third thing. This is all inspired by Nora Bateson.
that. Okay.
Premium moisture potting mix. We're going to do a class project.
Okay.
This is Nora Bateson-ish.
All right.
Because what it is you and I are sitting here, and we've been doing this for about a year, I think.
Yeah, we're getting close. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is 22 episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've been talking concepts, and it's been wonderful. But I think this is our next stage of growth is that we're going to start having a little more experiential. So putting the song or a poem in,
Okay.
each time. And we'll have to watch on copyright stuff and all that.
Right.
At least we said her name, Mahalia Jackson. I showed the album cover. Her being dead might help too.
Oh, yeah.
And the next thing we're going to do is a class project, and I'm going to have, and I tried to have it for this week, but I was unable to find. We're going to plant a flower in a pot.
Okay.
I'm showing you the soil. And we're going to, as a class project, just like a first grade class that has we're going to watch our flower grow.
Okay. I like this.
Symbolic, metaphorical.
Uh-huh.
Life, serving life.
Yeah.
You like it?
I do. I like it. I think that's good.
Good.
I like it. Cool.
So that will happen. I've got the pot downstairs. I haven't put the soil in the pot, but I'm kind of waiting on the stores. I went shopping and didn't find any flower seeds yet. So I'm waiting on those to arrive.
Yeah.
Picked up a beautiful calendar while I was shopping for got the soil.
Oh, okay.
Gardening. That's a beautiful calendar.
That's kind of cool. Advice, folklore, and yeah.
Advice, folklore, and gardening secrets put out by the Farmer's Almanac.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I like buying from a local store.
Literally and figuratively working on that garden of healing there.
Quite exactly true.
Yeah.
All right. So all of that is preamble to what is combining.
That's right. What is combining?
You asked me that question last time.
Yeah.
I read this entire book.
Okay.
Combining by Nora Bateson. Mary can tell you that I've been sitting here reading. Oh, have I been reading? It is a 375-page book. And the conceptual depth of it, for me to sit here and tell you what Nora Bateson's book was about is like me having stood on the beach of the Pacific Ocean and telling you what the Pacific Ocean is about.
Oh, wow.
But I'm going to give you a little bit of a context because she's big on context.
Okay.
William Bateson, her grandfather, was a renowned scientist who first started publishing things in 1890.
Wow.
About biological systems. And somebody was married to Margaret Mead. I can't remember if it was William Bateson right there or his son Gregory. It seems to me that it was Gregory. Gregory was one of the most renowned scientists of the 20th century.
Okay.
So the marriage didn't last. Nora is not the daughter of the union between Gregory and Margaret Mead. But Margaret Mead's book, Coming of Age in Samoa, is, despite her not being the actual biological mother of Nora, is part of the Bateson family legacy.
Okay.
So you have William Bateson, you have Margaret Mead, and then you have Gregory Bateson, who has a book called Steps to an Ecology of Mind. And then he had a second book called Mind and Nature. And then he had a daughter named Mary Catherine Bateson,
Okay.
who wrote a couple of highly renowned scientific volumes. And then along comes Nora.
Okay.
She was 8 when her father died, Gregory. Her first book defeated me. I put it down about 6 or 7 years ago. I couldn't get through it. It was too deep and intense. I'm going to try to get back to it.
Yeah.
And see.
Was that the warm data or
yes?
Something? Okay.
It had a different name, about small arcs or something like that. I can't remember the exact title. But I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about, girl. I do not understand it.
Yeah.
And I read a book by Gregory Bateson too, one of the two that I mentioned. I'm going to go back to that. I see it's still in my library. Combining. So what combining is what she calls trans-contextual learning. So, and we're going to, I'm going to give you a hint of where she's coming from with a series of questions that she asked in the book. We're going to get to that in a minute because it's going to help everybody that's trying to follow this saying, oh, yeah, what's he talking about? But trans-contextual learning, she has set up what she calls warm data labs.
Oh.
And you can go, and there's 1,000 of these going on around the world. People who are accredited teachers of warm data labs conduct them. You go, and there's like 6 to 8 stations in a room.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a topic. Let's say the topic is school shootings.
Okay.
All right. You're combining perspectives. This is what combining is. So there's 8 tables in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to one table, and or perspectives or contexts. One of the tables has the context of, let's address school shootings in the context of economics.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, did you hear that?
I heard a clatter.
Yeah, that was my desk that I'm sitting and making a cracking sound. Okay. Let's address school shootings from an economic context.
Right.
All right. And you can get some information fed to you at this table, this warm data table. But you also have just people talking about their economic perspective and understanding. Okay. So there you go. But she doesn't want it to be that people only look at it from this one perspective, which is what so many things do.
Right.
My desk is cracking. That was a loud crack. I think I'll. All right.
Hopefully it doesn't fall apart on you there.
Yes, that would be quite the dramatic presentation.
Yeah. Okay. So she doesn't want you just to think about at the economic table.
Yeah, you could go to a university and you learn about everything psychology, and then the next
Right.
course that you learn is anthropology, and the third thing is finance.
Right.
Like that, and that's kind of like what she says is that it's reductionistic.
Yeah.
Is that people start to view things from one angle all the
Hmm.
time.
Right.
He wants all of us to combine contexts, transcontextual learning.
Okay.
So then you go to a third, and they're talking about school shootings as a gender studies issue.
Oh.
What do males learn that leads them to do all these shootings?
Right.
Fourth table is race.
Hmm.
It's mainly white guys that are doing all these shootings. But
Right.
so what, white male, a fifth could be about gun laws.
Okay.
A sixth table could be psychiatry.
Mm. Yeah. Mental health or psychiatry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what was the first one I did? Psychology. I can't remember.
First one was economics.
Economics, psychiatry, gender, um, uh, race, and so on.
Hmm.
The next one could be history of American attitudes towards rugged individualism.
Okay.
You could do a religion/spirituality table,
Right.
and so on. And this is people are all going and spending. This is an entire day, so that they're spending 45 minutes to an hour at each table.
Oh.
But they're absorbing all these different contexts, and
Hmm.
all the people are moving around. They're all moving around, absorbing different contexts and different perspectives, but they're throughout the day developing a combining of perspectives,
Interesting.
so that you're not just thinking about it from one angle,
Hmm.
or two, or five, but you're thinking about it from 8 angles.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of the day, there's a what did you learn?
Okay.
So, and she has very specific thoughts about not wanting to have people show up with and then you have an agenda about what they should learn.
Right.
She wants you to engage, and this is just one topic.
Right. Yeah. This is just the topic of school shootings. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, there's
but
so
you
many.
realize that what a vast thing. And when we come to a subject, one of the metacrisis, polycrisis subjects like school shooting,
Hmm.
we for the most part, another element of that would be gaming and media
Oh yeah.
portrayals of violence and how that encourages or discourages violence.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think when I think about these topics, what you traditionally hear in, people spouting off, it's, no, the guns don't kill people. It's people kill people. We need their mental health. Or no, if kids didn't have access to such violence, there would be, these issues. Yeah, you hear these one-sided points that people put out there as what they see as a problem. And I think what I'm understanding with this combining exercise is that, yes, each and every one of you have a very valid view and point. And somewhere with the mixture or the combination in all of these is the real root cause, is the
right.
real, you know, systemic problem that's multifactorial, and until you identify it as multifactorial and you address those multi-factors at the same time, nothing's really going to change, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she says these issues have been brooding and breeding and steeping for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And now they've emerged. Now school shootings, depression, climate change, the other ones that we've talked about, income inequity,
Mm-hmm.
wealth inequality,
Yeah.
sexism, racism, homophobia have surfaced after brooding and breeding for centuries.
Right.
They've come out. We don't have the. It's entirely naive to think, well, we can now have an educational, have the kids take a course for a semester on nonviolence and think that they're going to get it, and that's going to change the course.
Oh, right. Yeah.
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 So, I have to say, like I said when I said, reading the book and then telling what she's talking about is as naive as standing on the Pacific Ocean and then me telling you, Nick, and our listeners, this is what the Pacific Ocean is on the basis of me reading the book once.
Right.
I see this as something I'm gonna have to read the book several times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to watch her on video because she's on YouTube. She's at least 30 hours of her being on there, and has her own web page as well.
Okay.
In order for me to able to adequately address what she's talking about. So this is radically.
Where does where does one begin? I didn't even, to think that there are these ventures of warm data centers, call it that, because we think of data and we think of data centers, but it's kind of a play on it, but it's nothing like what you think of a data center. But so where does one find these? Is this, if someone wanted to get involved and be a part of a data learning day, what would that look like? Or have you gotten that far in your own exploration?
I know that people that are listening to this, as well as you, can go to two spots on the internet. One is called Warm Data Labs with Nora Bateson.
Okay.
That's an entire page. There's so much to it that I didn't even read it because I was busy reading the book. And then the second thing is she has a I'm not sure if it's still there, a web page called People Need People.
Okay.
And that also is a project that she has put out. She's done a movie on her father, Gregory Bateson.
Okay.
I haven't watched it yet, but she's done that. And she's on YouTube. Amazing amount of stuff times.
Yeah.
And she's in here for a 2-hour conversation with so-and-so, and I told myself, you know what, I could kill myself trying to do all this. I'm retired.
It's a lifelong journey.
I'm just going to watch for every 2-week episode. I'm only going to watch one of her many YouTube conversations, just so I can absorb that. Oh, you put up the Bateson Institute.
Yeah, it looks like that's their foundation, and then within there, she has a bunch of projects, resources, and links to the Warm Data Labs from what I found here briefly. So
yeah,
it seems like that BatesonInstitute.org or International Bateson Institute is her foundation and
So like
organization.
a guy who's gone to the Pacific Ocean and stood there and looked at it and then turns and says, "Hey, Nick, let me tell you what I just saw."
Yeah.
I can't give you an adequate thing, but what I can do is this. I can, the way she talks about these warm data labs where you go and you're encountering people, you really have to, she has a huge focus on communication and on
Mhm.
listening and
Okay.
saying, even the words that we use have to evolve,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even our phone messages.
Hmm.
So I'm in the midst of reading all this stuff, and it really one of the most challenging books I've read.
Yeah.
And I'm enough of a, I don't know what I call myself, that I'm going to read it again.
Hmm.
I'm committed to the Brambled path, my brother.
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
But
So,
in the midst of this, my phone rings, my cell phone
yeah.
buzzes with a attempt for a video conference. My grandson,
Oh.
Onyx, who's
Uh-huh.
come on
Oh.
before.
Okay.
I've mentioned him. He's a guy that I gave a meditation cushion to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, autistic guy and distinctive human being. And I woke up at midnight or 2 in the morning or something and found him meditating.
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Um, the phone rings, and it's interesting because um, my approach to him was slightly altered by this book.
Oh. Okay. And what? Yeah.
You might want to know how so.
Yeah. Yeah. How so? No. Yeah. I'm like, in what way? Yeah. Like that's interesting.
I was like, what is the context of your day? What is your experience? What is from what are you reaching out to me?
Okay.
And I was more curious about him than I usually am.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Intergenerational learning is one thing that she talks about as well. She talks about a million things, but the value of intergenerational learning and the okay. So when he calls, I think of myself as the teacher and the
Mm-hmm.
entertainer.
Yeah.
That's my my template.
Okay.
And instead, I thought, okay, now he's a teacher in this one. What is his context? How can I
Yeah.
learn from him in reality?
Right.
So it just was um, a shift, a
Yeah.
minor little shift,
Mm-hmm.
And he has a puppet that he holds
Okay.
on his hand, and hey, Grandpappy, look at this. And so I watched what the
Yeah.
puppet does, and I took curiosity about this puppet.
Yeah. Huh.
What was the puppet's perspective?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, she isn't a person who's going to come up with a wonder plan
Mm-hmm.
for us to solve the meta crisis or to
Right.
overthrow Trump, But and I feel free to say, yeah, I'm loving this, but I'm still going to, as much as I can, want to donate to the National Resource Defense Council and the American Civil Liberties Union, who both are doing legal resistance activities against Trump.
Right.
There's still that. you know.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really open to her perspective.
I think that's a good. I mean, if anything comes from this work, from these concepts that you're describing, and the way I'm kind of taking in this combining, and really what she talks about with warm data is, it's like, and to your point, a shift away from this thinking about me and what I do to uh, become competent at this skill, or competent in knowledge and understanding about this topic, or we think about our life and our where we exist in our society of what I'm competent and qualified, based on my skills, training, education, experience, and really, yeah, we all, like, those things are fine, but because we've emphasized them for too long, we forget about the fact that along the way you need to be learning about perspectives of everybody. And so it's
You're a
like,
perfect student of this, Nick.
yeah, oh,
You
okay.
get it easily. You get it easily.
Okay. But yeah, so I guess the point is that rather than being this learning model of like throw at you this, and when you learn all of these things and you have such a multitude of topics you can be competent or knowledgeable of, then you somehow achieved this status, or you're a
Yeah.
evolved human being.
Yeah.
But really, it's like, no, you just have skills and knowledge in areas. What we should be focusing on is learning as perspective, because then you can start to think outside the box. Then you can apply the things you learn and optimize them or to enhance them. They're just tools in your box of who is Nic Davis or who is John Hughes, and it's those in broader perspectives that really allow you to optimize and thrive and contribute in society, or to help others, or to build a community up. I mean, yeah,
You're
not
responding very
not
well. You're getting it. It seems to me. Now, Nick.
that's a generational after generational thing, as she points out, right? Like, we didn't get to this point of you know needing to challenge and change things overnight. It happened generationally. So fixing it means doing that. Yeah. I
So
like it.
yeah.
Interesting.
So now we're 53 minutes in. The question is, I've got a page of very intense reading to offer
Okay.
you.
Okay.
It's questions. Do we want to do this, or do we want to postpone it for next week?
How deep is the conversation going to go immediately after? Will we have time, or is it going to be a cliffhanger?
Let's call it a cliffhanger. Let's say that because of the time, I'm
Yeah.
reading this to you. People can take it in, and then we can look at it next time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
I'm realizing I want to read it to you.
Yeah.
All right. So this is one page, and as I was reading this massive book, page 308, I was like, oh, you're really getting to it now. So this is the chapter. It's a one-page chapter called A List of Relevant Questions. The world is in trouble. There's serious work to be done. Quickly, what follows is my short list of serious questions for this era. Structural change is required. To get there requires epistemological change. That's how we come to understand things. This list assumes that profit, revenge, ownership, and any notion of superiority, including nationalism, are not viable excuses for the destruction of billions of living systems. The committees that are formed, the projects that are funded, the actions taken, the policies made, all are in response to the questions posed here. So what are those questions? Here are mine. All of the questions below are of personal, institutional, and global concern. We in this document refers to anyone who will ask such questions with me. 1. Education. How can we best cultivate curiosity, information, and learning between generations to prepare ourselves to perceive and respond to the complexity of our world with less destruction than in centuries past? 2. Health. How can we support health in human beings by making it possible for each person to eat healthy food, sleep well, know that their families are supported, be respected in their community, have relevant contributions, education and employment is in parentheses, breathe clean air, and drink clean water. 3. Ecology. How can we interface with the complexity of our natural world so as to cause less harm to the interdependence of all living things? There's 7 of these questions, so we've done 3.
Mm-hmm.
4. Economy. How can we shift the economic system so that it is not based upon exploitation of nature and humanity without crashing the globe into chaos? No one gets rich on this version of economy. 5. Politics. How do we get the policymakers of our world to mandate cross-sector information for their decision-making processes so that they have the possibility of taking into account complexity? 6. Media. How do we get a moratorium on binaries? Oh my God, that's so great.
Wow.
How do we support public understanding, not trained in perceiving complexity, to become accustomed to it and demand that communications institutions deliver cross-contextual information? And finally, culture. What is the approach to open the global discussion about the pending fate of humanity? What matters? What are we willing to change? And how can we survive together?
Wow. Good questions. And and how much of the book is left after that?
Oh yeah, that's page. What did I say?
That's
Page
308.
Yeah, and there's how many pages? Let me just find that for you. There's 369 pages.
Okay. So again, you mentioned, she's not offering a immediate solution and fix, but I assume questions and some thoughts about those will follow to get their wheels turning on how to think about those questions or what they mean for us, individually, and
leading up to these pages and then
right.
coming back after.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well,
that's Nora Bateson. Pretty
Nora
heavy stuff, huh?
Yeah, it is. That is heavy. If I mean, I can only imagine if that's just the one and a half pages there. Yeah.
I read 316 pages of this, and I'm like,
yeah.
Now I'm reading a funny book to sort of recover.
Yeah. You can't continue to throw such dense material at yourself and try to digest that. Yeah.
Somebody might be able to.
Yeah. Well, they also go and earn multiple master's degrees and PhDs because they're just that continually read very heavy, dense material,
right?
And then write more of their own. Yeah. So
we're gonna plant a flower. We're gonna listen to some poetry and some music.
Okay.
In addition to delving into Nora, because
more combining. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, combining, exactly. We're gonna Mahalia Jackson's part of the mix now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
can integrate a lot of different things and makes, yeah, you mentioned last week when we talked, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about combining. It just makes the world that seems so big and maybe scary. I don't know if that's the right word, but big, scary. Um, and then you realize this idea of this interconnectedness, this cross contextual, and you start to think, is it really that big?
Yeah.
Because what we're talking about is universal. Our experience with this and the interconnectedness and cross contextual is the same interconnectedness and cross contextual that is happening in India, or the Middle East, or the UK right now, Mexico. And there's this idea that you think about and you integrate those people's experiences or perspectives, and you know yeah, you've now combined and made your own local perspective, that which can be shared across the world. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing that she said that's a good way to close out this show.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching my one YouTube broadcast per 2 weeks of hers that I'm gonna study. Otherwise, it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
But she was talking very recently. I think it was after Trump got elected. She lives in Sweden, but grew up in America. She grew up in California. Um, she's talking about, you know, she sees 10 years of chaos and bloodshed on
Mm.
the horizon
Yeah.
for us. You know, not to discourage or depress our viewers,
Right.
but that's what she sees. And
Yeah.
she said, but the resistance to that is the primary one is for us to form networks of mutual support, mutual
Yeah.
aid,
Yeah.
mutual support, not just in physical help like driving somebody to the pharmacy, but also truly emotional support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, as always, John, I love our bi-weekly chats and
Yeah, this one was
sharing this with others who ever tune in live or follow up after the week.
yeah. I
We
got the
appreciate,
5 here that we're listening to it,
yeah, we got it. We did. Yeah.
and then it was
Um,
4. Now it's 3.
yeah. So we appreciate anybody listening in, first time, or if you're a repeat listener, but also if you watch after the fact, thank you so much for your support and just tuning in and listening to what the two of us had to say and share with you. So,
Do you have good friends that are watching this regularly now?
I don't know. I don't see. I don't have any good friends. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know if I do or not. I'll have to see. See if there's put a poll out there. But
I got a friend
I
in.
know I have a few that I know, see if like something's posted or another one occurs, but I haven't heard whether they listen or tune in, and yeah. So but I do get feedback. Oh, I see you did another show. That must be going well. And yeah.
Yeah.
So very surface stuff that I hear about. So, but yep.
All right.
All right.
Very good.
Well, thank you all, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Appreciate you. Thank
I'll
you.
be working on it.
All right.
Good to be with you.